Hi, I'm so glad you're here. This fall, my husband and I experimented with cyclical keto, and today we're going to talk about our experience. At the end, you'll be able to decide if cyclical keto is right for you. In case you're new around here, take just a moment and click the red subscribe button underneath this channel. I upload a new video every single week. Hey, it's health coach Tara. Let's talk cyclical keto dieting. And before I get started, I'm going to invite my husband to join us because we did this together. And he's going to jump in by telling you what a cyclical keto diet is.
So cyclical keto dieting is when you take a certain period out of your week or maybe even a month to go off of the keto diet and consume carbohydrates. Some people also call this carb cycling. I've heard it called that by a couple people, and some people call it keto cycling. So
carb cycling, a lot of bodybuilders use carb cycling to cut weight, and wrestlers like they'll go really low. They don't follow a keto diet necessarily, but they use carb cycling, so dropping their carbs really low,
right,
to shed body fat.
Right. Yeah. So
we did it a little bit backwards. So that would almost be the opposite, right? Because they're eating a normal diet most of the time, and then they're dropping their carbs low on occasion.
Yeah.
So what we did was 5 days on keto, 2 days off. Or that was our plan.
Yeah.
6 weeks.
6 weeks.
And there's a lot of controversy around whether cyclical keto dieting is good or bad. So that's why we decided to try it for 6 weeks. Try it, be committed. Because we kind of had tried it once, and then we just went back on it. And I'm like, well, that wasn't really, I can't really draw any conclusions from that. But I mean, doesn't it sound great? Like if you could get the same benefits of the keto diet long term, but do it cyclically, so you can have carbs on the weekend and then be keto during the week. I mean, isn't that the dream?
Yeah, I mean,
it's like everything.
Really get the same benefits?
Yeah, I mean, you'd have to get the same benefits, right?
Yeah. Otherwise, would it be worth it?
Well, let's talk about that. All right. So during our first week, it kind of seemed that way. Like it seemed like this is fantastic. We love cyclical keto dieting. We were looking forward to the weekend. Do you remember any of that?
Yeah, I mean a little bit. We probably snuggled in for a movie or something. One of our favorite TV shows, and when we went back to eating something that we were intimately familiar with. So what did we eat?
I'm pretty sure that we popped a big jumbo bowl of popcorn Friday night.
Yeah, it's a whole grain.
It's a whole grain. And we had some apples and some cheese because that had kind of been like a thing for us on the weekend.
And I had a beer.
Yeah, you had a beer. You went and you came home with beer. He likes craft beer, so that was a treat. So our first problem is we didn't go back to keto till Tuesday.
Yeah, so we're already kind of off the rails of keto cycling, right? It shouldn't be quite that long.
And it was just hard, and we just didn't want to. We just were like, we like to eat this way. We just didn't want to go back on. So to make up for it, we didn't go back off. We took Sunday off. We just took one day off the following week.
Yes.
And so we were doing okay at that point. We were like, well, maybe
it was fine. And then you kind of...
You were like, oh, I like this. I get to eat what I want on the weekends.
Yeah, I think at that second week, I was like, I think we could sustain this. This could be pretty good.
So 2 weeks in, it was looking pretty good. But then...
Yeah, then the cravings started to creep back in.
After we got back into ketosis that second week, and we were heading into our third weekend, we found ourselves being a little obsessive about food.
Yeah, I was starting to spend a lot of time just trying to figure out, on a Wednesday or a Thursday, what are we going to eat this weekend?
So the thinking about food, which he has never really done.
Yeah, I didn't think about food. I just ate it.
You just ate? He didn't. It was a problem. I'd be like, what do you want for dinner this week? And he's like, I don't know. I don't want to think about it. Whatever. So, but I was thinking about food because I was planning meals and groceries and whatnot. So it was normal for me to think about food and what was coming up next, but not normal for him at all.
Yeah, I was.
So that was like, I was like, whoa, that's weird.
Yeah. So well, you're planning these little trysts for you and your food mistress.
You and your special carbs.
To have over the weekend when you're cycling off of your diet.
So in week 2, we also noticed we started to slack off on our workouts.
Yep. We worked out less. We watched more TV just during the week.
Yeah. Well, because we're pulling our body out into ketosis, out of ketosis, into ketosis, out of ketosis, right? So we're going through some of that carb withdrawal, that keto flu every single week.
Yeah,
that wasn't fun. So then I don't feel very good. So
yeah.
You're not doing what you want to be doing with your time. We also noticed third weekend, I don't think we did any food prep for keto food prep, right? For the week coming up, or any food prep at all.
Yeah, and that's kind of where things got a little bad, right? Because that food prep portion for us is critical. Really important.
Right. Like, because if you're fasting, or if you are on keto, like when you're faced with the carb-laden world, you have to have something prepared to eat, right? I mean, you guys know how it is. So, weekend 3, we spent like all weekend in front of the TV.
Yeah. That was pretty awesome.
But was it? We didn't feel rested come Monday. We didn't feel good come Monday.
I suppose not, because, you just kind of look back on the weekend and you're like, I ate a lot of carbs. Nothing. I ate a lot of food. That was it. And sat around.
Yeah. So Monday through Thursdays became absolutely terrible.
Yes.
Friday would be better, except
Friday was good because you knew what was coming up, right?
Right. Like, you can get through Friday. So we noticed like our relationship with food changed. We were doing things and making decisions about food that we hadn't done, unless we were on like a vacation where we had planned to do like you go somewhere for the food, right? We went to Italy for a honeymoon.
Yeah, and when you eat like every day is a vacation, that's
how you get sick.
Yeah, that's how you end up with diabetes or heart disease. Not every day can be a vacation eating day.
So we're talking about this. So who could we see cyclical working for? And I don't know. Elite athletes? Yeah.
Maybe.
But they would harness more benefits from staying keto.
Probably.
So I don't know if, they talk about fat adaptation, and people say that once you've been doing keto for like 10 years, you can have the occasional carb binge. But I don't think that could possibly transition into 2 days of eating carbs. Like, you've got to pull yourself out at some point.
Yeah. I don't even think I don't think it's keto at that point. I think it's more paleo.
Right? Well, paleo doesn't eat dairy.
Yeah,
they don't eat sugar.
It's
refined sugar.
They don't eat refined sugar, but they'll eat grains and stuff. So it just kind of becomes, to me, not necessarily keto. I don't know how your body can transition that fast.
I'd love to see a study on that. But how do you find enough people who've been on keto for long enough for it to work? I mean, that would be the challenge of that kind of a study, and probably why we can't find anything on the benefits of cyclical keto. I mean, so for us, the biggest problem was we got into this cycle that instead of feeling empowered by keto and grasping all the benefits, we started to feel deprived by eating keto.
Yeah, that's the hardest part for new people on keto, I think, is getting over that sugar addiction, getting over the feeling of being deprived.
Yes.
And once you finally get over that, keto gets really easy.
Yes. And so then you throw in the addictive nature of wheat, grains, and sugar. So Dr. William Davis, he's a cardiologist and author of Wheat Belly. Many of you might be familiar with his work. Well, he argues that modern wheat is an opioid.
Yeah, modern wheat, so modern wheat has 46 chromosomes, and ancient grains like einkorn have something like 14 or 16 chromosomes.
Much, I think it's 14.
The wheat that we eat today is a far cry from what we were eating probably even 60 years ago.
So he says that it's an opioid, and what happens is it doesn't give you a high, it stimulates your hunger.
It stimulates those hormones like ghrelin.
Yes, right? Exactly. Yep. So it makes you want more. So same thing with sugar, right? And if you don't believe sugar is addictive, look at what happens with our kids.
Yeah, our kids have had times in their lives, and I think they're finally growing out of it, where they would just consume gobs of candy.
Well, so our middle daughter's most recent birthday party, which was almost 9 months ago now, but she had a ton of friends over, and she's opening her presents, and all her friends are giving her candy.
Yeah, that's a birthday present now.
Like classroom-sized bags of candy, right? Yeah. Like not just a candy bar or a single-serving ring pop, whatever. It's like, let's buy the most ginormous bag of candy, like Halloween-sized candy, right? So she's probably got, kid you not, like 6 pounds of candy. At least.
It was a lot. It
might have been more than that. And that wasn't
stunned.
her only birthday party. She had gotten more from friends at school. So I walked down, I'll never forget it. I walked down the stairs and went into their study room, and she's sitting there on the couch. She's supposed to be studying, but she's sitting there on the couch. I said, "Hey, is your homework done?" She goes, "No, I haven't started it yet." She's just eating, shoveling it in. She goes, "I can't stop."
Sour Patch Kids.
Sour Patch Kids, yeah. And I'm like, "Really?" She's like, "No." I'm like, she's like, can you take these away from me? And so I just took the bag, and she's like, "Thanks." And so I'm like, "All right." And so I came up and I talked to you, and I'm like, we need to talk about taking away her candy, because this is 3 or 4 days after her party, and the Sour Patch Kids were almost gone, and this was it was a big bag, right? So
and she's she's very lean.
Yeah, she's got lots of brown fat in that build. Very strong, very lean. But, it just so bad for her. And we talked to them about candy and about things like that. But if you ever doubt the sugar addiction, look at kids. When my nephew comes over, I always have Hershey's bars for them. I'm an aunt. I spoil them. It's just my thing. And one is never enough.
No.
They know that I'm going to have that treat. One is never enough. Then they're asking, "Oh, do you have marshmallows? Do you have this?" And they don't understand why I don't want one. They're like, "Oh, don't you want one?"
Yeah.
Like, no. And sometimes my niece will offer me candy, and I'll say, "No, thank you. I don't like candy." And she doesn't understand how someone could possibly not like candy.
Yeah. Like, are you crazy? But I think it's something in our society too. So this is kind of off of the keto cycling thing and more about the addictive properties of sugar.
Okay.
So my middle daughter was actually born in Korea.
Mm-hmm.
And we would travel on the trains quite often, because we'd have to go from South Korea to North South Korea.
Okay.
And it was not uncommon as part of their culture for families to share their snacks with other families on the train, especially for kids. And whenever we got offered something, we would kindly accept it. But it was always like dried squid or kimchi or something, but it was never sugar. It was never potato chips.
Did the kids eat it?
Sometimes they did. If it looked appetizing, or if we would kind of hide the fact of what it was, and barbecue squid or something like that. I don't know. So it's just, it's something that we as Americans do quite differently with our kids, I think. Introducing
the refined carbohydrates into the diet.
At a very early age.
But I'm going to get a little into conspiracy theory here. That's the food industries. That's their thing. They are marketing junk food to kids. Because they know if they can get these kids addicted to this junk food, and this junk food is actually created to be addictive. It's no mistake that, think of your favorite junk food snack, that is addictive and that you want more. Like, that's by design. That's on purpose. That's how they guarantee they make their money. And then if you really want to get me going, enter the drug and pharmaceutical industry and how they don't want us to get healthy because they won't make money. They don't make money off us being healthy. Food industry doesn't make money off us being healthy.
I think they just don't care. Like, they're not I don't know that they're actively out there trying to keep us unhealthy.
They care about their profit margin.
Yeah, there's
they care about their sales, and they will do anything to sell more.
Yeah.
I mean,
they're not actively out there trying to find ways to undo the need for their drug.
No. Well, just like you were telling me today about the cholesterol research, like the drug companies don't want to invest more money in cholesterol research because they say they have the answer. It's the same thing with anything else. They keep what works.
Yeah. And so that's coming back to keto cycling. That's what made it so hard for us, is that the addictive properties of those foods. And
they just grabbed on.
And the thought that all of the huge benefits that you get from being keto long term are kind of, I just don't know.
You're not going to get them.
I don't know how you could possibly get them if you're not in ketosis for a long period of time.
Now, I could see if someone's never been keto, you're not after the long-term health benefits of keto, you just want to lose some weight. That might work.
Yeah.
If you go very low carb, it probably would work. If
it was a guy asked me a question at a gym yesterday, and I mentioned that I stunk terribly because I was in ketosis. You kind of smell really bad. And he goes, "Oh yeah, you're keto. I do keto too." And he's like, and so a couple seconds go by, and he goes, "So why are you doing keto? Are you doing it for weight loss or just for health?" And I said, I didn't even think about it like that before. I said, "Oh, I'm just doing it for health. I'm at a weight that I really like. Like, this is a weight where I feel good." But I never really started it out to lose weight. I was more interested in all of the health benefits.
And mostly at the beginning, it was the brain.
Yeah,
benefits.
And to me, weight loss is a side effect.
Yes. And so that's a really important point to make. I think that if you're someone who hasn't done keto before and you just really want to lose weight, you don't care about the rest, then cyclical, if that's what works for you, it might work for you. But
it could.
I would encourage you at a certain point to go full-blown keto.
Yeah.
Because the benefits are absolutely phenomenal and things that you don't see on other diets.
Yeah.
So, and we're totally not saying that we're never going to go off keto again, but it's not going to be so often in nature. There's, we're going longer and longer stretches staying on because the thing is that it's funny because when we recently went off for a day, or you went off for a day, I went off for 4 days at Thanksgiving, I realized this non-keto food doesn't actually taste as good as I remember it did. Like I was like, I kind of just wish I'd stayed keto. But I mean,
once you get over the emotional nature of it, because so much of that eating
it's more about, I can't have that, right? It's more about the taboo.
Yeah, yeah. And once you've broken that emotional connection to the food, then you can really sit back and objectively look at it and say,
think about,
is it really better?
Think about white bread, like what it tastes like. How would you describe it? It tastes like nothing.
I don't know, yeah. Unless you toast it.
But then it tastes like crunchy nothing. It's what you put on it, right? It's
what
you put on
butter.
Top of the bread.
Yeah.
It's your nut butter, your butter. Well, we have a keto waffle recipe. So just toast one of those babies up out of the freezer, put whatever I want on it. Yeah. I mean, I like nut butter. I like regular butter. You can satisfy, and the waffles taste better. Like, they taste better and they satisfy.
Oh, yeah.
More. Like, so now that I'm used to keto versions of food, it's like this carby stuff. It might smell really good, and it might seem romantic, and it might seem sexy from a distance. But then when you start eating it, you're like, oh, I don't feel good.
Yeah.
This doesn't really taste all that good. Why am I doing this? Why did I do that?
Yeah, it's instant regret most of the time. It just feels like, why did I do that? It was not worth it.
So, and the way we transition on and off keto is to have a plan. So you go off keto, it's planned. We know when we're getting back. Before we even go off keto anymore, we actually meal prep. So our freezer is already full, fridge is already full. If we're going somewhere to cheat, we leave the food there. We don't take home leftovers that don't fit with our keto lifestyle.
And you eat normal portion sizes.
And we eat, and you don't stuff, you don't let yourself get addicted to the carbs.
Yeah.
You go off for a short enough period, and for like there's a lot of time in between these going off ketos that you don't get into that cycle, because we talked about how it took us a few weeks for that cycle to catch up with us. Anything else to add about our experience with Cyclical?
I was relieved when we finally decided to stop, because it was so easy to see where we were headed.
And we did stick it out for the 6 weeks. We were ready to quit at 4. We had a conversation. We're like, do we quit or do we stay? We're like, no. And we did get more discipline those last 2 weeks.
Yeah.
But it was discipline. It was a lot of work, and more work than we felt like it was worth.
I would like to really know if there is anybody out there who's having really good success with cyclical keto, and what does that look like for you?
Absolutely. Share with us in the comments below. How long have you been doing it? How do you do it? Do you have secrets of how to make cyclical keto dieting work for someone who is on keto full time?
Yeah.
And transitions over to cyclical. So we would definitely love to learn a little bit more about you. And I want to take a moment to personally invite you to join my free keto support group. It's a user-run group. It's an upbeat group where our mission is to support each other in a ketogenic lifestyle. You'll find tons of free resources organized in an easy-to-use format. And you can join by clicking the link below in the description. So like we said, we do these videos for you. So we're always looking for your questions and your feedback.
Yeah.
Always want suggestions for new content. What should we talk about next? What should we film next?
What should we try?
Yeah, and what kind of lifestyle experiment should we try with keto? So comment below. And if you haven't already, make sure you click the red button to subscribe to our channel. And thanks so much for tuning in.